What's up, everyone? So, today's episode is gonna be the very, very important question, which is there any real value in buying crypto? Now, the obvious answer is that when you buy crypto, you're always buying it because at the end of the day, the markets are gonna go up. And everyone is just buying crypto at the moment because we all know that the market is starting to heat up very, very rapidly. And as Bitcoin continues to go upwards, you're only going to see more and more people take notice of the space. But instead of going into the hype, let's really, really drill down on the basic fundamentals of buying tokens. So, this episode is dedicated to my mom and dad who, till now, although they read the newspaper about Bitcoin and how our government is working with blockchain technology, sounds all very exciting and all. But unfortunately, till now, they don't really understand why would they even buy Bitcoin other than their son is definitely balls deep into it. So, mom and dad, this episode is actually for you. So, if I was to say, why am I even buying crypto? Firstly, I like the utopian idea. I love the idea that at the end of the day, there's a lot of potential in terms of how an open source network can actually thrive without a centralized authority. Now, why is this very important? You see, businesses, right, grow to a certain stage where, especially if they are still very young and very new, okay, let's just talk about just a normal business here to kind of understand something, because this space is very unique in that sense where it's very, very community driven, where the community actually has quite a bit of say in what happens to what a cryptocurrency can do. Now, obviously, the mathematical and technical parts, let's leave that aside for now. But if you think about it, the miners serve a purpose in terms of validating the transactions, and of course, they get a reward for processing and making sure that those transactions are correct on the Bitcoin network, right? And the Bitcoin network, at the end of the day, it's a database, okay? And this database, when the data is written onto each block, you cannot change it. That's the beauty of it. So there is a certain level of transparency where if I was to send one Bitcoin to someone else, I must know that person's address, right? And once that action is done, there's no way that it can be undone. So from this very simple act alone, right, a lot of things happen and a lot of businesses could potentially build on this concept alone. Because we all know that sometimes data is either manipulated so that it can serve a purpose and a result. Of course, naturally, where in every business, right, it's always about making money. The bottom line is all about making money. But the Bitcoin network was very unique. It came out from the time when the subprime and Lehman Brothers crisis, when the whole financial system was in chaos, and a lot of the banks were definitely going down. But because of the central government, they were able to, be rescued in that sense. But the unique thing about Bitcoin is that it has gone through so many booms and bust cycles, especially with the news that comes out from the illicit activities to the exchanges that have been hacked, compromised, and the owners not being honest and doing fraud, creating fraud and scams. We have a very rough start. Till this day we continue to have this rough start. We still have this negative image because governments are coming in, institutions are now bringing their disease into this system, and suddenly you have all this two sides of the coin. There are people who are pro institutions coming in, and then there are people who are not pro institutions coming in, because it's this divide. There's always this argument. So anyway, back to the whole idea of it. So when I stepped into it, I asked myself, why am I even buying a Bitcoin again? We have a perfectly fine banking system in that sense, where if I want to send money to a particular person, that money gets sent, there's no fees, especially if it's within Singapore. But what about if I was to send money across the globe? And if I wanted to send large amounts? You see, the thing right now that I realize is that when you send small amounts, the fees are actually quite crazy. This was the part where I was trying to figure out what really made sense. So when I want to send an overseas transaction to somebody, right? If it's a small amount, no problem. But when I want to send a larger amount, right, there is a potential that if I have never verified or I do not know this person, for example, or the bank, the intermediary that is representing me or holding my funds will want to ask a lot of questions with regards to why am I sending this amount. And I've always felt that it was okay because I worked in a bank and we ask questions to our clients as well. Right? This is just the normal procedure, making sure that we know where the funds are going. But at the end of the day, I realized that the funds belong to the individual. And if the individual decided to send the money to that person or to that particular country, it's his business. It's his business. Because we don't have the right to control what he does with his money. Sure, there are times when the cashiers are very concerned, especially when it's a more less financially savvy individual, okay, and they are sending to a country that usually has a lot of scams and schemes happening. And obviously the banks are always notified, and usually they will ask the less savvy individual, why are you sending the money? And it's really more out of concern. And I have seen those cases, and those are definitely fair and legitimate. It's really just asking them, their thought process on why they're sending that over, because there are online scams and there are money games and money scams that happen, okay, and usually they prey on the elderly and the ones that are not so financially savvy. Heck, even the financially savvy even can get scammed, so what more the ones that are not. So anyway, there's this question that I've always been asking myself. When I invest in a particular company and buy their tokens, what am I buying the token for? So after being in this space for 3 years, I kind of narrowed that down. And I wanted to keep it simple for myself. And obviously, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not here to impose. I'm not here to even influence. But I'm just here to share. Because right now, there's just so little transparency. And after just absorbing so much content online from people who are in the crypto space and the people who are not in the crypto space, everyone's answer at the end of the day comes down to one thing. They believe in the long-term technology, especially if they are in the space, and they see how the blockchain technology can actually help provide financial inclusion. At the same time, it provides a lot of financial products and potentially a lot of transparency, especially if you are a company that requires this technology for your existing system. Okay? And I'm sure there are a lot of things that can be built on it. Okay, and this is the part where we will not be able to see anytime soon. There were, of course, occasions where there are blockchain-related products that I felt were really crap, and they spent a lot of marketing on it, and we all know what kind of companies they are. But at the end of the day, those are attempts of just profiting during a certain period. Would I buy those products? Naturally, I wouldn't. But then again, there are some people who will dig it and they may think that, maybe it's a new technology, let's give it a chance. That is fine because we are all in this space together. We are all just formulating our own ideas and strategies on how we're supposed to approach this. And I must say I am a little bit sad because when I first came in, I was thinking to myself, wow, if I started buying all these investments, and any time I knew in my mind that a lot of them were not able to really withstand the test of time. But because it's a trend, okay, we cannot ignore this. And trends are important. Without trends, there will be no speculative value. And with no speculative value, with a lack of speculative value, we can't really make money. Let's just be very honest. And the exchanges will not really function very well. And that is one part of the story. 90% of everyone who is here are in it for the short game. Let's not kid ourselves. The reason why people will always be very, very hurt when someone, especially on YouTube, right, whether small or big, talks bad about their coin, suddenly they get all defensive. It's very natural because we are all invested. We have all put in our hard-earned money, either our monthly salary or our savings into this particular token. And now I'm hearing this individual that is talking negatively about something that he doesn't understand. So that's why that's why lately I have really dropped down in terms of putting out, like, talking about this particular coin, talking about that particular coin. But I will always talk about what I'm investing in. So that's very fair because I have my money in this. I have every right to comment about it. So it's just the way it is, right? You feel that you're self-entitled. So I don't really go into, if you are invested in this project, what do you think? I don't do that anymore because, to be fair, I am not invested in it. So I do not want to comment because you may have more knowledge about that particular community, you have more knowledge about that particular technology, or you even have the expertise of why you're even in that industry. So that is the things that we cannot quantify. Okay, these are the things that we cannot quantify. The community, the team behind it, so on and so forth. You can't put a numbered answer to it. Okay, there's no statistics behind it. So the next thing I want to ask right now, out of all the projects that you have invested in, and if you start a business, right? Okay, so take my business as a whole. Recently, I mentioned that we actually we actually had to close down the marketing team, right? Because there was practically no sales coming in because all the projects were definitely not interested in paying other than with their tokens that have no value, or they wanted to pay a very minuscule amount for the kind of quality content that they expected. So this was the issue. At the height of the cryptocurrency boom back in 2017, every single particular project, people are willing to pay anywhere from one and so on and so forth. At that time, it was worth, the money. At that time, it was worth creating a team, because when you want to provide great service for people, you want to make sure that they are getting their money's worth. So we definitely wanted to have the right team to support the demand. And that was why the marketing team was created. Now you must be thinking, Ryan, why are you talking to me about your company? The reason is this. I'm sharing this with you because for a company to make money, there has to be sales. Right now, in the crypto space, right, if you are not able to monetize any of whatever that you are creating, or there is no one actually looking at your product or actually wanting anything to do with your company, how is that company ever going to survive other than for the fact that they were lucky to raise money during the bull market? Right? Okay? So you were lucky that you raised money during the bull market. The question right now is, can you bring your product to the market and create that demand? I'm just talking about a very, very simple logical thing here. I'm able to buy a product, I can sell it at a profit. Or I'm able to create a product, I am then able to sell it off for a profit. Simple as that. If you cannot answer this question and you're buying for the speculative aspect because everyone else is doing it, sure, you can do that. That is on you. Because that is when you have to question and ask yourself, what has this company been doing for the past 6, 12, 18, 24 months? What have they been doing? What have they to show for? Other than a mainnet launch, other than a wallet that just was created, other than some staking mechanism that was just recently implemented to further work on their distribution mechanism. Is all that truly revenue generating? That's all I want to say. You know, if it is not, don't you think that that is a concern? Because in the long run, that's going to be a speculation. So that's why you're coming in at a time when 99% of the companies, 99% guys, are like that. Not only that, even if they did generate revenue, they don't need to show it to you and me. We don't get the information, guys. We don't. And even if they did, right, how are you going to put a value to the token, right? Because we are not shareholders of the company. So it becomes more and more worrisome. And that is why we continue to get bashed by the old school financial analysts, the top business individuals in the space. They are not wrong to smash the space in that manner. They are not saying that the technology is not real, but they're just trying to put a statistical number and fact to it, which is very fair. You guys are always expecting facts from me and every other YouTuber. For example, when someone says that, hey, Bitcoin is going to go up to 50,000, but somehow people like it when they hear stuff like that. Especially when people start showing some charts, drawing some lines with a few indicators, and they, I'm so happy. I'll give this guy a like and a sub. That's not how it works. If you tell me the Bitcoin network has grown by 50,000 wallet addresses, and each wallet address is now holding 500 Bitcoins. Okay, that is not even a requirement, by the way. I'm just giving you a statistical number. And so next theory, out of these new addresses that have been created, each one has 500, and not only that, they have a coin age of say 1 to 6 months. That shows that there is a certain level of stability. I'm giving you something to work on. How do you track all this? Is there some way to track it? Right? So I'm giving you a very straight up example, and that is when you have to start asking these questions. When you say that, this project has an X number of nodes, what does that mean? Are those nodes controlled by a unique individual or unique or multiple unique IP addresses from one person? Right, which is pointless once again. If one individual can control 3 to 5 unique IP addresses, which is very normal, right? Which is not very normal, but it's possible. Then what's the point? It doesn't mean anything unless you're telling me, each unique IP address, we have to charge this individual, or it costs a certain amount for them to function, which is why mining, especially hardware mining, is expensive. There is some value to the Bitcoin network because people are pumping in money, electricity, depending on where they are, right? I'm sure, yes, you have read whether there are certain countries that have free electricity. They don't have to pay for the cool weather because they chose a certain country. Okay, let's skip all that. But the fact of the matter is people are investing millions to billions, or even structuring deals with the energy source companies to provide for their mining companies in return for a profit when they sell the Bitcoins. Okay, there is some way, but it's so hard to quantify. So that's the frustration that I will always continue to have. And I know that a lot of people, whenever they try their best to be upfront and brave about it. Recently, Anthony Pompliano, okay, you saw him on I think it was CNBC, I think. Okay, forgive me if I got the show wrong. CNBC and Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary, we all know him from Shark Tank. So he was just asking a question. How is Bitcoin even having any real value? How do you quantify the value? And to be fair, Anthony Pompliano, being from Morgan Creek Capital, he did his best to answer in a very very analytical manner of what at least he can put as facts in front without sounding like he's too. Obviously, we are all biased in that sense because we are all part of the space. So this is the part where it becomes very, very challenging for a lot of us. Where when Kevin O'Leary asked those questions, there was no way to put a value to Bitcoin. Okay, it's just because someone wants to buy it, then there's someone else on the other end that is willing to buy it higher. Right now, with the whole influx of new money, of course, you're seeing all the altcoins start to benefit. But for what reason? Was there real news that was able to quantify this movement? Sure, people were saying that it was because of bug. Maybe there's a potential for new ETFs that are going to be created that have not been announced yet. A lot of theories, a lot of different reasons that are not true facts sometimes. No one actually knows. And that is also another thing that we will always continue to have this problem. You never know whether the news is legit or not. So you're probably at this point saying, shit, when I'm watching this video, right? What's the main point, Ryan? Like, can you get straight to the point? The point and the reality of the matter is we need more years, okay, in this space before companies are going to be willing to be transparent. Just saying. And it's an internal self-governance kind of thing. They don't have to be. Unfortunately, they don't have to be. And whenever we put our money in, and that is why I always advocate really less than a certain percentage into this market. Because when you cannot quantify something, you're really putting if you put too much hope into this space and it doesn't turn out, or especially the cryptocurrency that is not Bitcoin, and it doesn't turn out it didn't turn out the way that you think it would have turned out, it becomes very dangerous for each and every single individual that is coming into the space, especially the newer they are, the more the likelihood of them actually having their money stuck or the token going to zero is very, very high. And don't forget, they have to handle the emotional roller coaster that anyone who has been through, they have to go through that. And it's going to be a multiple bull and bear cycle, guys. It's a given. If you think that right now you want to get out, like you already have a portfolio that's probably slightly in the money, and you were dollar cost averaging during the bear market, and right now you see that your portfolio is in the green, and now you're telling yourself, whew, is it time to get out now? Well, that is your choice. At the end of the day, it's your choice. It's no one else's responsibility except your own, because you set your own strategy. You know your own limitations. You know your own requirements. You know your own emotional state when you were in it. No one can help you with that. And it's more of just reflecting why you're here. And I think this video will serve that purpose, because you have to keep asking yourself, is it even progressing? When I'm investing in this particular company, are they even doing what they say they're doing? Or this guy is just, or this particular CEO, CFO, CTO, the whole team is just, a bunch of smoke and mirrors. We just have to ask ourselves all these questions, right? And if we can have that peace, like I said, when I invest in something, right, I have this peace. If I don't have this peace when I invest in something, that means it's wrong. And this is a gut thing, by the way. Please stop thinking that everything can be justified by fucking indicators. Okay, it's damn dumb. The reason why everyone wants to justify something is because they haven't really invested huge amounts of money before. And when you think that everything can be justified logically, you can, but at the end of the day, there is still that instinctive experience that a lot of people lack. This is one thing that you have to learn. Over time, this will become a very valuable asset. It's not about just talking to someone face to face. It's not about looking at the damn white paper. It's not about looking at a chart or an indicator. It's about the real life experience about when you lost money, why do you lose money? When you made money, why do you make money? All these, that part of your investing journey, right, will be critical in whether you make money in this space right here, right now. Anyway, that is all I have to say for the video. Click a like if you felt that this video was a value add, and of course give it a thumbs down if you felt that it was all nothing but just a rant. But at the end of the day, guys, I enjoy you guys on the stream. Sorry I cannot handle any questions, but I want to keep this as short as possible. It's a little bit long, 25 minutes, under 30 minutes, and this is the reason why I want to come and share with you guys. Take care, see you on the next stream.